Hi everybody, welcome to the Corinna Handmade YouTube channel. This is episode 6 of my knitting podcast. I am so happy you are here joining me. So today we are going to start with the giveaway winner from episode 5. Episode 5 was my birthday episode and I shared a little giveaway from KnitPicks. So it was 3 skeins of this Muse Aran Weight yarn, 100% superwash merino. 3 skeins. The other one's in the bag still. And then it also included a All You Knit Is Love project bag. So a cute little drawstring bag. So there were 79 comments on that video and just chose at random. Someone by the username of Lucky3 said happy birthday and a few party emojis. Nice podcast, awesome yarns. Found you from a YouTube recommendation and I'm working on a crochet hat. Thanks for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I will be contacting you through YouTube if I can, or replying to your comment. So if you see this and you're watching, Lucky3, please email me at CorinnaMarieHandmade@gmail.com and I'll be sure to get your address and your information so I can ship out those giveaway winnings to you. And thank you to the 78 other humans for entering that giveaway. It was so exciting to, get all those birthday wishes, so thank you for sending them. And it was also exciting to hear how you found me. Most of you have been recommended by YouTube, a few by other podcasts, which is awesome. And I think actually a few minutes ago, I'm filming this Saturday morning. I hope to be able to publish this by Sunday the latest. So I just hit 500 subscribers. So thank you all so much for choosing to spend your time with me. I know I'm not the most consistent podcaster in terms of uploading. We're averaging about every 2 to 3 weeks, and that's just what I'm able to do now, which means more content for you in each episode, and I hope you enjoy them. Obviously, I hope you do if you're sticking around, but if you're not yet subscribed, we got some fun things for you. So I guess we'll start with shop updates. So I kind of debuted for the first time, I guess, my Etsy shop in last episode, episode 5, and showed you some of the zipper pouches that I had made. And since then I have made a ton more and I'd love to show those to you. I uploaded them into the shop on Friday, so if they're still there, you can grab them. Most of these zipper pouches are one of a kind or two of a kind, so what I have is what I was able to make. I tend to buy a lot of fat quarters or quarter yards and then just kind of use up whatever I can, with at least getting the 3 sizes of pouches that I have in each print. So if you want to buy a matching set, you can do so as long as they're still available in the shop. But once you see them, if they say 1 or 2 is left, that's all I have until I'm able to get more fabric, which isn't always a guarantee. The fabric company that I use, or that I like to use, is called Rifle Paper Co. They have a lot of great floral options, and once they kind of print a run, sell through it all or through their distributors, they don't tend to revisit or reprint. So they're constantly coming out with new collections, which means fresh things for you all if you're interested in purchasing. So the link to my Etsy shop will be down below, or you can just go to www.CorinnaMarieHandmade.com and it will take you right there. Free shipping over $35, so in most instances if you buy 2 things you'll hit that threshold. If not, you can throw in an $8 key fob and get over that threshold for free shipping. So speaking of key fobs, we'll start with those. A key fob is a kind of a wristlet that you put through your wrist through, and you put your keys on, and if you are hands-free or you don't have a purse large enough for, all of your accessories, you put your keys on here on this keychain and, you're kind of set. But I also had, I wouldn't call it an epiphany, but seeing some other project bags that some other makers have. They have kind of a wristlet piece of fabric that you can do that. And since I use zippers, you can essentially put the keychain loop, oh, I just dropped one, put the keychain loop through the zipper pull and kind of have it as a wristlet as well. So you could get pretty creative, and if you want them to match, I also have the same fabric in the key fobs. So I'll get a little bit closer and show you the key fobs. So these are new to the shop. I have a ton that I keep dropping things, a ton that are already in there and have been in there for a while. Just some kind of prints that I've had before, but I wanted to show you the newest ones. Hopefully that is focusing. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. All right, so that's one, and I'll do I have one in the same fabric? No, I don't. This one, which is a black floral on a light blue handle. This is the same floral but on a gray handle. And like I said, all of these key fobs are $8. This is a new fabric, so this is Strawberry Fields. Some cute florals and baby strawberries, and on the other side there's another big blue flower. So that placement worked out well. And then I have that same fabric in a cream background. So you have a butterfly here. Again, that big blue flower, and this is on a red handle. Same fabric but on a green handle. So I wanted to pull some of those leaves and stems into the background. And these are all the ones that I've shown you. I only have one of them. So if you like what you see, get it now before it's gone. Some of these I have more fabric for, but those ones I'm pretty sure are just one and done. Next up we have the Rifle Paper Co. Garden Party pattern. This is on a green handle. Same fabric on a blue handle. Pink one, yellow. And I said pink because I did have a hot pink one, but something exciting is coming with that hot pink one. So those are the key fobs that I have. I think I have like 27 total in the shop, so go check those out, and I'll ship them as soon as possible. So let's get into some pouches. So I have 3 sizes. We'll start with the large zipper pouch. It has a boxed bottom, which means it sits by itself, sturdy interfacing, and then always a matching zipper and a coordinating color. And then if you see in here, that little speck down there is the label, the Corinna Marie Handmade label. And yeah, so I use this. This is the one that I use for my sock needles, my ChowGoo Red Lace Minis, favorite sock needles, my progress keepers. I have scissors and measuring tapes and chapstick in here, and that sits in my project bag or walks, gets carried around the house with me to keep all my goodies in. All right, next up for the large zipper pouch, we have the Strawberry Fields in black. Again, boxed bottom, the way I fold them, so they're pretty nice. This has, I believe, a gray inside, yep. And I normally do white stitching on all my bags, but for this one I switched to black stitching. Takes a lot of time, especially when I'm just doing like 1 or 2 for production, to keep changing my bobbin and my colors, but for that one I did stick with the black. And then we have the Strawberry Fields in ivory, the ivory background. So same pattern, just black background versus ivory. This has a green zipper. Love pulling in that dark green. And then a gray inside. Box bottom, you know the drill. And then the last big one that I have, new, I have some other ones still in the shop for my last upload, is this Rosa Navy, I think it's called. So really nice blues and pinks with a navy zipper and then a light blue interior. Box bottom, you know the drill. All right, so that is the large zipper pouch. And then I created a medium zipper pouch. So the next two pouches are flat pouches, so they don't have that boxed bottom. So they're just kind of thin, flat things. But this is, oh, what is this called? Wild Rose, I think. So big blue, beautiful flowers with the matching blue zipper and blue interior. So these are flat. Little envelope zippers. I use mine, and we'll see if I can find it in my whip bin, but I use mine for any loose cables for my interchangeable needle sets. I know, you know, I have a few sets of interchangeables, like my Lichen needles. I have KnitPicks interchangeable that are relatively new to me, and then I have like a bamboo pair that I got off Amazon, and I like to keep all the cables together so I'm not pulling from different sets of interchangeables, so this is perfect for this. And then we have the flat in the strawberry in ivory, strawberry fields. Again, same interior, gray with the green zipper, so it matches the large pouch very nicely. Then we have in black. It's a beautiful print. We have another one in black, so if you're interested in one, you got it, because there's a backup, but all the other ones, this one I have two of. This is a replenish of the English Meadow. I got two of those. And then this is that rose. And then now we're on to the little baby ones. These are the small pouches. So this size I use inside of my large zipper. So if you see in here, we'll dig to the bottom. This is actually one of the first prototypes I made. I was just looking at pictures yesterday in July, I think. So kind of have improved and, you know, made it a bit sturdier with interfacing, but I use mine for my stitch markers. So I keep all my stitch markers and progress keepers in these tins and kind of keep them separated, as well as a tiny pair of scissors. So obviously those two don't match, and I need to make a matching one, but if you're interested in that, you can buy a matching one, or you can use it as a coin purse, in your purse, chapstick, whatever, you know, if you're not going to use it for knitting notions. But this is a great size. So these are $10, the medium are $15, and then the large are $20. We have the strawberry fields in black, that English garden or English meadow, this one, and then these two are garden party. And just note for garden party, the small ones do have white zippers. I ran out of the medium pink that I have, so those will be white for the foreseeable future until I can get an order in. And this is strawberry fields in ivory. So with all that being said, go check out the shop. Tell me if, you know, you love these patterns as much as I do. If you know of a Rifle Paper Co. pattern that you'd love and that I don't currently offer, let me know and we'll see if I can grab that fabric. I do have some fabric on the way of some new prints, same prints, just different color variations. So favorite the shop on Etsy, and I'll try to update you every week. And I think this took like 10 minutes, but hopefully I can go through it a lot quicker once you get used to, you know, the fact that I'll be uploading new things all the time. So I guess we can jump into whips. I think I have two of them. Oh no, what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Nordiska, I think I'm saying that, Nordiska sweater by Caitlin Hunter, Boylan Knitworks. I knit this September of 2019, I want to say, and then I didn't touch it for months and months. And then as soon as, you know, COVID started last March, I think I picked it back up to finish it. I maybe had one sleeve left. And this is a gorgeous stitch pattern. I knit this out of KnitPicks Stroll, the Heather variation. So I ordered a bunch of blues and one of the grays, the base, and you can see kind of all the tweed. And I love this yarn. It's very soft, warm. I put this on just to film because I don't have any other kind of like shorter sleeve shirts, except for the bright side sweater that I wore last episode, but I need to get better about knitting summer things. I'm just not a summer person. I hate the heat. I don't really like the sun. I mean, do I look like I enjoy the sun and get any type of tan? No. And most of my freckles are hidden under concealer. So that is what I'm wearing. Cute little v-neck. And then the stitching on the bottom. Okay, back to whips. Where do we start with finished objects? That's always the struggle when I don't podcast frequently, but I have one FO, so I'll just go ahead and share that with you. So last episode, I was working on the Bunchberry socks by Hello Stella. And I said I had no idea what a bunchberry was, so I googled it shortly after that episode. And a bunchberry is, I guess, another name for dogwood, which is a type of flower. And the dogwood has 4 petals that are kind of, you know, look like a rhombus or a square. And the way of the detail of this is, you know, kind of 4 pearls in that pattern. So I get it. I get why it's called Bunchberry. So I knit this out of the yarn called Olann Gra, which is hand dyed in New Hampshire. I had purchased that yarn when I went to go visit Harrisville Designs a few years ago, and finally got around to knitting with it. So technically these are my April socks, which I didn't really work on socks in May, but I'll show you the current whip I'm working on, which will kind of retro back to trying to make a pair of socks every month. We'll see. I'm not going to be too hard on myself if I don't do that. So love this pattern, love these socks, love these sock blockers. I have purchased a lot of different sock blockers while I'm trying to figure out my favorite kinds, and I've done the wood ones. I think I got a couple pairs off Amazon. They're not very good. They were cheap, so obviously that makes sense. And I have a pair of adjustable from Trinkles, where you kind of move the notches and you can adjust like the length of the foot or the length of the cuff to, you know, help if you're making socks for a bunch of different people. And I thought I was gonna need that or what have you, but I don't really like the wood sock blockers because they tend to snag, I feel, when you're trying to take them out, or they're just a little rough. Maybe I need to sand them down. But the wire ones, it's basically like a hanger and you just slide it on. It's hollow, so they dry very quickly when they're soaking wet after blocking them. And yeah, I'll link the Amazon link to these. They normally run about $16 to $20, so you can have access to them. They come in small, medium, large. These are mediums. I purchased these off of Jimmy Bean's Wool just because the Amazon ones have been sold out for a while, but I don't know if KnitPicks sells them. I'll link a few different websites where I can find them if you're interested. But yes, that is my one FO. All right. Whips or stash acquisitions? I'm excited about stash acquisitions because I have a few things. Let's just do stash acquisitions. So to start, I ordered some fabric, and a crazy story. I ordered fabric. I had an Amazon gift card for my birthday, and I wanted to order some fabric off of fabric.com. Normally I support Etsy shops when I'm ordering fabric, like Rifle Paper Co. fabric, because I know they're wholesalers and, you know, that's how they are profitable and they're successful. But no shops had this left. It's an old fabric, I'm pretty sure, and you'll recognize it because it's the same as my pouch. So when I first purchased, I think I got a fat quarter of that maybe 2 years ago. Never did anything with it. Finally made my pouch, and so I ordered maybe a yard or two of the Explorer with the green background. It's adorable. And I had ordered like 7 yards of the blue English Garden that I showed you. I put things down and all over the floor and I don't remember them. And Amazon canceled my order just of that blue fabric. And I was like, what the heck? I ordered 7 yards of it. Like, I need this fabric and I wanted to make a ton of things in it and kind of promote it a little bit more, but they canceled it and that was the end of that. So I had a very hard time finding this on Etsy. The only place I could find 2 yards of it was from a seller who kind of inflated the price, which I really don't appreciate. Like normally Rifle Paper Co fabric goes and sells anywhere from $11 to $12, maybe $13, $12.85 a yard, and this seller was selling it for $15.99. I get it, supply and demand, but also I don't know, it just seems not cool to me. But you know, I was desperate, so I guess that's kind of the way. So I was only able to get 2 yards of it. So I got 2 yards of the English Meadow. This is from Gardenia Fabrics. I've never shopped with them before. It was just the only place available. And then to get free shipping, I ordered a half a yard of this other blue floral. So that is the fabric haul. More to come on that. I'm sure you'll see them turn into pouches later on. Another acquisition is a self-striping yarn, which I have never tried self-striping yarns before. This is from Moose and You Yarns. It's called Part of Your World. 75/25 superwash wool and nylon. Sturdy sock, that's what she calls it. So I bought this for myself, I think like the day before my birthday, whatever, because I just really wanted to try self-striping yarns. So I said, you know, let's do it. Let's get an Ariel inspired Little Mermaid. That is my favorite mermaid. I'm sure you can tell why. And then I just got a matching mini skein to do like the heels, toes, and cuffs. So that is another one. Excited about that acquisition. As I throw everything on the ground. If you guys are podcasters, does your area look like a total mess after you podcast? Because mine sure does. And I don't have a ton of room. I guess we'll do more acquisitions. I hope I'm able to show these, but you know, let's take out the crinkle. Alright, so I don't have names for any of this yarn. I am doing some sample knits for my friend Amanda over at Melanated Boho Bay. So she just sent me some skeins to play around with and make some samples of. So I don't have names for these, but I will be sharing these as whips and FOs in the future. Amanda, I hope that's okay that I'm sharing. And then I have 4 skeins of this colorway for something fun. So when she was looking for test knitter, she was like, oh, you know, let me know what colors you enjoy working with. And I was like, honestly, surprise me. She knows I only like blues and greens and those kinds of colors. But I was like, I don't care. Let me work with some color if it's on your behalf. And, you know, we'll get some fun things knit up. So I have 3 more skeins of that last color I just showed you. But other than that, I've been good without buying yarn. I am much in the mindset of kind of getting through my stash. So I know I have a pretty large stash and I wanted to share that with you in a video eventually. Just given with the move and kind of where it's stored now, I don't have the means to kind of go through the plastic bins on camera, or it's not stored behind me. So hopefully when I move again to a more permanent place and I set up hopefully a craft room, let's all cross our fingers that we get Corinna's craft room eventually in her life. That I can share probably my hundreds of skeins with you. I don't have an exact number, but I am very much in the mindset, go through what I can so there's less to move when that time comes, and if it's in a few months then it is, and kind of just work through what I have as opposed to you know, buying and then hoarding. That is something I've realized in the last like 2 years since I've started working with different types of yarn and yarns that aren't just line brand like Woolies Thick and Quick. When I was making things for shows, that was fine to kind of stock up on and go through because I knew what colors I would sell, and I would only focus on maybe 6 colors at a time. But now that I am selfish knitting and knitting things that I like, it's a completely different ball game, and I'm sure you can all agree if you have stashes, big, small, medium, you know, whether you buy from Michaels or KnitPicks or indie dyers, whatever it may be. I have a great selection of kind of all 3 types of those yarns, commercial and indie dyed and kind of medium commercial yarns. But my little 2 cents, and I hope to be able to speak more about kind of stash building and stash breaking as time goes on, just the opinions that I have on it and the weight and the stress that it causes me having a huge stash. And I feel like it's always the dream, like, oh, I want all of this yarn, but it kind of just gets to the point where you have so much that you don't know where to start, so you just keep buying new things, and it's the shiny object syndrome. Meaning, you know, you're just attracted to all the pretty things, and I always have to remind myself that, you know, the FOMO of not purchasing from an update, it's okay, and, you know, financial stability is way more important than having a giant stash, and, you know, kind of just using the things that you love to use and that you want to use, and buying yarn with projects in mind, as opposed to just buying and say, oh, I'll figure it out later, because then when you think of a new project or you come across a new pattern, you're always like, oh, I want to get new yarn for that. But it's like, well, what's already in my stash that I can use? So there's my quick 2 cents about my large stash. We'll work on it. We're getting better. The first step is admitting you have a problem. And I did that a few months ago when I was packing all my yarn up. I was going through yarn to kind of de-stash and sell, and along with workout clothes, I think those are the biggest things that I am a collector of, yarn and workout clothes. And those kind of really amplified over the last few years. And I don't like to think about it, but, you know, you have to kind of face your fears and do things that you don't like to do. Okay, tangent over. Let's go into whip. So I have probably and a half to share with you. First whip is a pair of socks. So I showed this yarn, God knows, episode 2 maybe, when I skeined it up. This is by Explorer Knits. This is the colorway Lavender. And then I have a mini skein called Lichen. And I am working on a pair of socks called Hocus Pocus, a little Hocus Pocus, I think it's called. I don't know who the designer is. I think I got it as a free pattern on Ravelry, but I finished one sock. So I started this sock on Tuesday, June 1st. Today is Saturday, June 5th, and I flew through this. So if you can see, it's a 2x2 ribbing, which I've never done that before. Super stretchy. I think I really like it. And then a cable design. So if you see this little knot, and then another one, and then another one, and it just goes all the way down. And then this is that Lichen colorway for the mini skein. This is a slip stitch heel, but it's not straight down. So normally a slip stitch kind of creates these lines for you. Like you can kind of see the bigger stitches are the ones that are slipped in it. It's lines. Ow. I hit myself in the head. Another thing on the floor. This one is like every other. So it creates this cool like lattice effect, and I really like it. So that was new to me, a new technique, and as well as the cable. So this is the right sock because the cable goes on the outside. And then the one I just showed you, I started last night. I knit all of this in a few hours. And yeah, we're almost done with a pair of socks. So I think I'm going to be participating in summer sock camp this summer. Since last summer I was not knitting socks, and I watch a ton of Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady's YouTube videos, and just kind of want to join a community. So I guess I joined the 9-inch circular cabin since I love my ChiaoGoo red lace needles. So if you need a set of circular 9-inch needles, and I have some different lengths of cable cords, so they're not always 9-inch. Sometimes they're less, sometimes they're more. I will link the Amazon link below so you can grab those and start knitting some socks with me. And if you are a sock knitter, tell me. I want to know, how many socks have you knit? Do you wear all of your knit socks? I started knitting socks a few months ago, maybe October, November, and I don't think I've worn them. Maybe once around my apartment, but now since I guess we're in June, and that just means heat to me. I think it's 90 degrees outside, and like I said, I don't do very well in the heat. We'll see these socks probably in fall, winter of, in a few months. Okay, now a whip that you'll recognize in my Wild Strands handcrafted project bag is my sweater. It's a pattern by Espace Tricot. God, that's embarrassing. I took French in high school. Called the Classic. So I think last time I was working on the tubular bind off for both sides of the bottom. It is a split hem, as you can see here. The back is a little bit longer. The front I think was about 2.5 inches. The back was, maybe I did 3.5 or 4. I think the pattern calls for 4. This is a free pattern. So I had a few people comment on the last few videos saying that you've never done a sweater before and, you know, the patterns are intimidating. Honestly, just look for free sweater patterns and start with a raglan. I think a lot of the fancy sweaters we see are yoked, which means that it increases differently from kind of like the neck to the arms and then when you split for the sleeves. So what I'm wearing is also a raglan. This is the Caitlin Hunter Nordiska, but this was a cable around the raglan stitches and I think it's adorable. I'm a big fan of cables, if it's not already obvious. So I really bode well to raglan style shirts. I think it gives me just enough ease for my bust. I'm a little bustier and kind of like my sweaters oversized. The one I'm wearing is a little bit tighter than, you know, this one will be, the Classic, but there's a time and a place for all types of sweaters. So yeah, bound off the bottom. I did tubular bind off. Tubular bind off is not my favorite, but I understand it and I get it and it works for what it needs to do. I just think I had a really bad experience with one of my sweaters and it was a very hard yarn to rip out, so I did not enjoy that process. So right now both sleeves are on hold and I need to pick those up and continue knitting. I have 3 sets of yarn that I was, you know, changing every row, and then for the bind off I did every, or the edging, whatever this is, the ribbing. I was doing every 2 rows just because it's front and back, and it was easier to kind of keep it going that way. So those are sitting in here. That's on hold, so naturally I started a new sweater because I cast off my bright side a few weeks ago and then started a new sweater. Now it might just be easier to sit with my whip in on my lap. Okay. Do I have everything I need? Next sweater is something I'm super excited about. It is also with KnitPicks yarn. So this is a yarn that is new to me, and I think I hid the label. I keep all my tags together. Let's find a full skein. Oh no, I got one. Okay, so this is Palette by KnitPicks. It is a fingering weight yarn, 100% Peruvian Highland wool. A size 1 weight, which is interesting. Why they call it fingering weight? When I gauge swatched for my next project, I immediately was just like, this is light fingering, very, very light fingering. So they call it fingering, but it's a weight 1, which is more of a lace weight. I think the way that it's spun, that is way blown out. It has 2 2 things of yarn that are loosely spun together. So when you pull it tight, it becomes very, very thin. So maybe I'm a little crazy for making a sweater out of this. I probably could have held a double and kind of done something a little different, but nonetheless, I'm excited to work with this yarn. Super soft, and here's my swatch. So I got inspiration for this swatch and my idea for a sweater from the Color Palette socks. It's a pattern I saw all over Instagram a few months ago and I really loved it, and it was all about kind of picking one color and then having it fade but it not be like speckled, you know, kind of that solid color, and then with white in the middle. So It's not an exact reiteration of that pattern, but kind of the color process is what inspired me. And I actually created a little image as I was trying to pick the colors I wanted to do for this when I was on the KnitPicks website. And I'll see if I can insert that here and just show you, you know, my thought process of a white background or like a white stripe in between with the 3 colors. So I will write the 3 colors that I purchased in the description box down below, because all my tags are kind of all over the place. But we have a dark green, a medium green, and a light green. And I kept going back and forth. Do I want it this way, from dark to light? Do I want it light to dark? The width of the stripes. So I was thinking the color, the greens be wider, the whites be skinnier. This was just a swatch to kind of show, and I did 8 rows of color, 5 rows of white. And then as I started making the sweater, I was like, oh, I was trying to calculate how long I wanted the sweater to be and then have an exact kind of know, you know, if I'm going to start with white for the collar or the mock neck, it's going to be dark green to start, and then the last row on the bottom I want to be dark green, and then the sleeves will be a little bit longer. So I calculated, I think, like 3.5 inches for the dark, 2.5 for the white, and then as I started knitting and doing short rows, I was like, I don't know if I like this. So we're still pretty, you know, slow in getting into this. I started this maybe 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. So it's very similar to the classic that I just showed you by Espace Tricot, but this is a raglan style increase. I'm just kind of doing my own thing, and I needed to gauge up. So I'm knitting technically a size 2XL. I think this is supposed to be knit with DK weight, which is why now that I'm with light fingering, pretty much lace weight, why it's a 2XL, and the pattern that I'm using goes up to 3XL, so I'm working with like almost 300 stitches. And I stopped here. I think this is one of the last ones of the light green that I have to knit, and I just want to make sure that the raglan is increasing and it's not getting too large for me in terms of just, you know, math doesn't lie, but sometimes I feel like I'm never, you know, fully equipped to calculate my own patterns. So yes, this is the front of the sweater. So I'm okay with the white for the neck being super, super tall. And I don't wear makeup like on my neck. I know some people blend, but I only do under my eyes and then, you know, spots, you know, if I have any zits or blemishes or whatever. So I'm not concerned about this getting dirty or, you know, full of makeup and everything like that. But you can see kind of, these are the short rows and it goes to the back. So there was a lot of short row shaping just given the size that I had to make. So I definitely thought that the white stripe was going to be a little bit skinnier, but it's fine. I mean, it's on the back anyway, you don't see it. And then I decided to double the ratio of rows that was here for the sweater. So we're looking at 16 rows for the green, 10 rows for the white, and so on and so forth. So that's what we're working with. I think it's going to be a cool sweater, kind of a paint swatch feel, and cute to wear, you know, high-waisted jeans with, French tuck it, and be on our merry way. So who knows how long this will take me, just given the fact that it's a light fingering sweater, but it's spring, summer, and we won't need this for at least a few months. But yeah, I'm excited for kind of the trio of colors that I'm using, and I will link the KnitPicks website down below. It is an affiliate link, so I am fortunate enough to be working with KnitPicks in terms of affiliation. So when I provide a link to you, if you click on that link and purchase anything from the KnitPicks website, I get a small commission for referring you or kind of pointing you in the right direction. So if you do choose to purchase from KnitPicks from recommendation of me, or you purchase on your own and you would just like to support me in the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. And just know that it goes to kind of funding more you know, supplies and yarn to share with you, as well as covering, you know, shipping costs for different types of giveaways that I do. So like that giveaway today, it'll cover the shipping for that, since that's not something, you know, I would ever ask you to cover for. So it's a little plug for the links down below. But I just found in here this medium pouch that I told you about before that holds all of my cable needles and my stoppers. So another great reason to get one of the medium size pouches. All right, that is the KnitPicks sweater. I still have in here my other KnitPicks project, which is that Laura shawl by KnitPicks. This is a pattern. I'm showing you the back of it. The Laura shawl. I'm on repeat 4. It needs 14. So that always makes the camera go super red, but I'm sure you get the idea. I haven't touched this in a while, but if I'm looking for a worsted project, I definitely will grab that. And this is knit with KnitPicks High Desert worsted weight wool. I spoke about it in nauseam in the last episode, but this is new as of April, so it's new this year. And I'm really loving the construction. It's wound, the way it's kind of spun aids very well to cables, and they have 12 gorgeous colors in a lot of jewel tones. So definitely go check out. I'll link this down below, like I said, and shop it if you're interested in. Could that really be everything? I guess we'll go into something spinning wise. So I purchased a roving from one of the yarn stores when I went for the New Jersey Wool Walk. It wasn't one that I showed on my vlog, so if you haven't seen the New Jersey Wool Walk vlog and you want to see inside 6 of the, I think the 12 or 13 yarn stores that are in Jersey, please go ahead and watch that. It was super fun to film. It's just overlaid with music, as I wasn't, you know, I didn't want to like talk through everything and everything, everything. But this was a store that I didn't vlog, that I went to kind of the following weekend, and I purchased a Malabrigo roving. And I've never tried Malabrigo roving. Normally for roving, I'm used to paying anywhere from like $20 to $25 for just regular wool. If you go to, if you get more of like the, I don't want to say custom, but like Polworth wool and some other sheep breeds, it could, you know, roving could cost you anywhere from $30, $32. And Malabrigo was $16. So I was like, okay, let me see that, you know, this is lower price point. And I spun it up the other night, and it was very difficult to spin. Now, normally when you are dyeing roving or just wool in general, like indie dyers, heat is a big property in terms of getting the color to set, but you don't want the heat too high too fast, because it has the ability to felt the fiber. So when you think of when you're washing or you're blocking, you know, a sweater, heat and agitation cause it to felt. So if your heat is too high, it definitely is a precursor to that. And I don't know. It was very hard for me to spin this. And this is in the colorway Mostaza. I hope I'm saying that correctly. By Malabrigo. 100% pure merino. 4 ounces. And I guess they call this Nube. So I felt like it was a little felted just in the way that they dyed it. So trying to pull it on my wheel like quickly to get it to spin into something that wasn't too thick or too thin, I found really hard. And if you've ever spun Malabrigo before, please tell me if you agree, or if, you know, you've experienced the same thing, or if you love it and it's your favorite. But that is just my experience with it. But gorgeous kind of color. You know, I love my greens, and this has some yellows as well that I'm not super used to, but this was just a quick 2-ply that I did, and kind of shows you the depth there. So I love the way it turned out. I definitely, you know, enjoyed the end product, and this still needs to be set, so there's still a twist in it, but as far as spinning, it wasn't the greatest experience, and I feel like I fought with it a ton, and it didn't break a lot, so I didn't have problems there, but I probably wouldn't purchase it again. I would definitely invest in more of the roving that, you know, I know and I love and I can trust, and you know, comes from indie dyers that you know, I support and I follow. So I haven't been spinning a ton because I signed up to participate in the Tour de Fleece, which is a fun kind of community event that spinners participate in during the month or maybe 6 weeks that Tour de France is occurring. So I think it starts end of June. I'm not very good with those dates, but I am spinning for mohair for the Dame, I think, with Sarah from Green Goat Ranch, and wool for the Dame. I think that is the Instagram. Let me look. Yep, Christina over at Wool for the Dame. So I'm joining their team, and I did a whole haul last episode about what I purchased. I think it was for the Maryland sheep and wool. I just bought it because I love it, but from Green Goat Ranch, and that is everything in this bin back here. So I'll show you her logo. But I haven't been spinning in the last few weeks because I wanted to save all of my fiber for Tour de Fleece. So you'll see tons of content. I hope I'm able to produce that and follow through on, you know, the things that I'm saying for wanting to share content with you. But I just had an itch to spin. So I spun that skein, or that roving, in between knitting those socks that I showed you. So as I look at the mess around me, I'm pretty confident that is all I have for you in terms of knitting today. But I did just want to highlight some of the podcasts that I've been enjoying watching lately. And first podcast I want to kind of shout out is the Merry Weather Knitting Podcast by Gabriella. Gabriella lives in Germany with her husband, her cat, and her baby. Her baby's name is Esmeralda, which I think is an adorable name. And I really love her podcast. She does weekly, so she is more consistent than I am. But I just feel like if we knew each other in real life, we would be great friends, and she's very sweet and so kind, and she has really, really fun projects. And, you know, just feel like a kindred soul with Gabriella, and my sister's name is also Gabriella, so it's always quite easy to remember her and think about her. And so I just wanted to shout her out and tell you to go check out her channel if you're not already watching the Merryweather Knitting Podcast. The next podcast I want to share with you is one that came up on my radar like a few weeks ago, and it was through the Tour de Fleece initiative, so the same team, and I joined a Facebook group, introduced myself, and there was another human, adorable human named Jess. Her Instagram is it's_Jess_Vel. And she said that she has a YouTube channel and a knitting podcast, or kind of just an all things podcast, with her twin. Her twin's name is Erica, and I'm trying to pull up both of their Instagrams. So Erica's Instagram is WafL Belgium. Hopefully you can see that. And they have a podcast called Twin Aura Knits, and they sit down and talk about all of their spinning, and they, again, I think are kindred souls. They love everything that Amanda from Melanated Boho Bay like spins, and cards, and just all of her fiber. And I feel like most of the times if I miss out on something on an update, it's because they are both purchasing it and just watching their hauls and my hauls. I think it's so funny. Amanda, if you're watching this, you probably, you know, the amount of like stuff from your shop that is sitting in like my house and with them is probably a lot of stuff. So I've watched a few of their episodes. They've been podcasting for a while, but I just came across them, so I wanted to watch their videos. And then Jess messaged me and was like, oh my gosh, I have the Minnie Mouse Advent roving, or I think they were bats from last year that she hasn't spun yet, and I showed you those that I spun, maybe episode 1 or 2, and so we were just talking about how she's, you know, nervous to spin them, but she, you know, was happy to see that I had spun them and done that. And then I was like, oh, did you get an advent for this year? Because Amanda launched her advents a few weeks ago, and she's like, oh yes, yep, I got the Sailor Moon one. So they love Sailor Moon, and I never watched Sailor Moon growing up, but maybe that's something I need to kind of catch up on and watch. So those 2 podcasts, I think 2 is a great number, and you know, maybe I'll have some more in the coming episodes, but definitely go check out those 2 channels, Merryweather Knitting and Twin Aura Knits, and tell them I sent you. I would definitely love if you could support them, and you know, we can kind of merge communities in a way where you go check out their channel and see all the fun things that they are knitting and spinning and talking about, and just continue to get to know. Oh wait, no, one more I want to shout out. A channel, I don't know how, I think this was a recommendation from YouTube, and you know, YouTube recommendations, they make the world go round, I think. But another channel called Arrow Knits and Pearls. Arrow is like sweater extraordinaire, and I commented on one of her videos, but I don't think she knows I exist. But she knits like 20 sweaters a year. She started last year knitting, and I think she's already up to, like, she hit her 25 for 2020, and then this year her goal is 25, or maybe I'm wrong, 22, 23, whatever the number is. She's already at 15, and she does a ton of test knits, but she has gorgeous sweaters, and she sits in front of a gorgeous stash. Her color preferences are a little bit lighter than mine, but I love to see kind of the pastels and the pinks and the purples, and she knits just gorgeous things. And I'm excited, you know, as every episode of hers comes out, and just getting to see kind of more people, you know, just knitting and sharing their love. And she's a relatively new podcaster, which is why I was so happy to kind of find her as soon as her, you know, maybe second episode came out, and then watch back to the first. So those are my 3 podcast recommendations. If you have any podcast recommendations for me, definitely let me know. I do already watch some of the bigger YouTubers, like Crazy Sock Lady, Grocery Girls, Nitty Natty. I really enjoy Natalie's channel. Who else do I watch? The Bearded Pearl, that's another one that I enjoy. So they do an episode about every month, so I don't feel too bad that, you know, I'm not super consistent every week. Cozy Up Knits. Who else? Sweet Georgia, The Woolly Thistle. Penrose Knits. Twin Stitches Designs, which is Julianne Knitter. I know she works a lot with KnitPicks as well, so I kind of found her and discovered her. And then there's some sewing channels that I watch. So if you have any channel recommendations, or, you know, just love to kind of share and things like that about different podcasts, definitely let me know. And if you go check out those 3 channels, definitely tell them I sent you, and that, you know, I hope you enjoy their channels as well. So I think I've blabbered enough. I'd have to, you know, check to see if I hit everything. I think I did. I announced the giveaway winner. We did shop updates. We did FOs, whips. But yes, I'm just excited to keep bringing you new knitting content and talking to you about my current makes and everything. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it that you spent the time with me. And I didn't even talk about what I was drinking today. I don't have tea. I already had my tea this morning, but maybe we'll include that as a portion in future episodes, if I can get my act together. Not entirely sure, but we'll see. So comment down below something you enjoyed from this video, or something you're looking forward to in the future. And yeah, would just love to get to know you all. This is episode 6, so we're still in single digits, but that's fine. We'll get to double digits, and then hopefully triple in the future. But I'm really enjoying this journey, and happy to have you all with me. So if you've made it this far, I appreciate you, and have a wonderful weekend or week whenever you're watching this, and we'll chat soon. Bye!